So this is another Young Turks exclusive for you guys. Jonathan Larson, our managing editor at TYT Politics, is breaking this story. You could read it on medium.com/The Young Turks. I'm going to tell you all about it. It's about the medical devices tax and a company named Stryker that was complaining about it deeply, and what they said and what the reality is. This is why I love journalism and research and finding out what their other statements in public are, especially to their own investors. That's where we find out the truth. So Jonathan begins explaining by saying Stryker Corporation CEO Kevin Lobo has made multiple statements on national television about the negative impact that Obamacare's tax on medical equipment has had on his company and the industry. But those claims appear to be undercut not only by the company's SEC filings, but also by statements made to Wall Street analysts by Stryker's own executives, including Lobo himself. Now he mentioned their TV appearances. Let's go to Lobo on CNBC and have him talk about how outrageous the medical devices tax by Obamacare was.
Basically, the tax really is a job killer. It's an innovation killer.
Right, but what did Congress do? Congress
decided to suspend. Did
Obama sign it?
Yep, it had bipartisan support just for suspension for a 2-year period. But what we look forward to with the new administration is actually a full repeal, which has been talked about.
So this was implemented in the beginning. Lobo said it was, quote, a job killer, so we're gonna look into that first, and then an innovation killer, and we're gonna look into that second, and we're gonna show you the actual facts. And now understand that Obama, before he left, did, as he explained there, suspend it. We shouldn't have suspended it, but he did, which led perfectly into Republican hands, because when Trump comes in, he is pushing for a full repeal, as Lobo explained. So let's now dive into the actual facts. Lobo's opposition to Obamacare, as Jonathan explains, centers on its medical device tax, which was added to subsidize the cost of expanding coverage and was projected to net $27 billion for that purpose. Medical device makers were singled out because they would benefit from expanded insurance coverage. So they were actually going to get a lot of that money back anyway. That was the whole point of the tax, is that let's be equitable here. We don't want you to just take the upside and then spread the downside to others. But anytime you have any downside for any industry, they will unleash their lobbyists. And of course, they spend tremendous amount of money lobbying on this issue. They say Stryker first publicly blamed the medical device tax for the imminent layoffs of 5% of its global workforce in a November 10th, 2011 press release, more than a year ahead of the tax. The layoff announcement became a national symbol of Obamacare's detrimental effect on jobs. However, in a filing submitted the same day to the SEC and subject to federal regulations regarding its veracity, Stryker offered an explanation more commonly cited for layoffs. The company wanted to eliminate redundancies created by recent acquisitions. So on the one hand, publicly they're saying, oh, it's Obamacare, it's gonna kill 5% of our workforce. And then when they have to actually say things that are provable in an SEC filing, they go, they don't mention Obamacare at all or the tax. They just go, well, we acquired a bunch of companies, so of course we laid people off. Yes, cost savings. And they brag about it. They say these actions, again, we explain here, these actions are being initiated to provide efficiencies. This is according to Stryker Corporation. Efficiencies and realign resources, another code word for firing people, following recent acquisitions to allow for continued investment in strategic areas in an ongoing challenging economic environment and market slowdown in elective procedures. So then it wasn't Obamacare. There's a market slowdown in elective procedures and you're doing realignment for your cost efficiencies, meaning you're firing people to save money, having nothing to do with the tax, but because of the mergers that you did and because the market is slowing down. Okay, now AdvaMed is an industry organization that lobbies together for all of these companies, including Stryker. And Lobo actually has contributed to AdvaMed, and AdvaMed has then contributed to trying to kill this tax. And he's also a part of that organization as well. So Jonathan Larson explains, AdvaMed has pointed to a study estimating that the medical device industry would lose 43 jobs once the tax was implemented. In August of 2012, however, PolitiFact reported that the study was funded by AdvaMed and that the research service Bloomberg government found this study not credible. So they do a study that they themselves commission and they go, tell us that we're gonna lose jobs. Oh, look at that, this study says we're gonna lose 43,000 jobs. PolitiFact, good journalism on their end, looks into it and goes, it's just not credible, it's not true. The study, the one that they commissioned, assumed, for instance, that the manufacturers would move 10% of their production overseas, even though the tax applied to imported devices as well. So do you understand that? They say, well, we got to move the jobs overseas because there's tax here in America. But the tax also applies to the devices that are imported in. It applies just the same. Total BS excuse, has nothing to do with the tax. Okay, Stryker has not said whether it will create any new jobs in the event of a full repeal. But wait a minute, I thought you told me this thing was a job killer, and then if you repeal it, then all of a sudden you're gonna have all these jobs. But when you actually have to do SEC filings and things that can be double checked, all of a sudden you're not promising any new jobs. So now we go back to Lobo on CNBC.
Regardless of what happens with the new administration, we're not really expecting any major change. So our volumes have been very consistent, very steady. Our organic growth, we've had 14 quarters in a row growing higher than 5%. And unlike pharmaceuticals, our medical device prices have been declining every year since 2008. So our price decrease each year is about 1.5% to 2%.
Wait a minute, it sounded like you were bragging about how great your business is doing. I thought after all these years under this tax that you would have been crushed by now. You had to fire all these people. What happened? Turns out you're doing pretty well. I've got a lot more details on that. Kevin Lobo said, we're also continuing on our path toward driving greater cost efficiencies. Cost efficiency means firing people. Okay, Stryker's filings and public statements also show little evidence that the tax has proved to be an innovation killer for the company. So we looked at jobs, now let's look at innovation, see how they're doing over there. After increasing spending on research, development, and engineering by just 2% in the year prior, Stryker increased R&D spending 13.8% in the first year of the tax. Wait a minute, I thought you were gonna have to lower it. Instead, you dramatically increased innovation through your R&D budget, Then from $471 million to $536 million. R&D spending rose by an average annual rate of 10.1% during the 3 years in which the tax was applied. Lie number 2. Innovation is gonna die. We can't do R&D anymore because of the tax. Let's increase it by 10%. And I'm glad they increased research and development. Just don't lie about it in public and pretend that Obamacare was gonna kill your research and development when it did the exact opposite. I'm not saying that Obamacare caused them to increase the spending on research and development, but it certainly didn't decrease it. That's just a fact. Okay, Kevin Lobo goes on to say, our ongoing investments in R&D as well as our targeted mergers and acquisitions positions us well to deliver innovation to our hospital customers. So apparently, Kevin Lobo, on the one hand, says, they're innovation killer. I'm on TV. I hate Obamacare. And then turns around to his investors in the SEC says, we're doing great. We're doing even better in R&D. Innovation's awesome. Which one is it, Kevin Lobo? Which one is it? If you pay a little bit more taxes, then you won't get as much compensation, which, by the way, that didn't even turn out to be true, but the greed is endless. Gimme, 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 and I never want to give anything back. Okay, so besides increasing spending on executive pay, R&D, mergers and acquisitions, and dividend payouts, Stryker also upped the amount of money it used to repurchase its own stock. Stock buybacks during the tax's 3-year span totaled $1.17 billion. We don't have any money because of the tax that Obamacare put on us. We have so much cash, we don't know how to invest it, we don't know what to do with it. So let's just buy back more of our stock, which increases our stock price and increases executive compensation. Of course. After handing shareholders $324 million in dividends the year before the tax hit, in 2013, Stryker paid out $401 million in dividends. That increased to $462 million in 2014 and $521 million in 2015. What happened? I thought the tax was gonna kill you guys and there was gonna be no more jobs or innovation. Meanwhile, you're piling on the dividends that you're giving to shareholders, the buybacks for your program, and now let's go to compensation for folks like Kevin Lobo. Lobo's total compensation rose from $9.23 million in 2012 to $12.8 million in 2016. What happened, Kevin Lobo? I thought that this was going to be devastating for you guys. You know what the real answer is? He's thinking, man, if I didn't have a little extra tax, maybe instead of $12.6 million, I could have made $14 million. Okay, so let me go on TV and tell you a whole bunch of lies, which I will then say the exact opposite of when I have to actually tell the truth on SEC filings. Okay, strikers' cash on hand ballooned as well. During the period the tax was said to be killing jobs and innovation, strikers' federal filings show its cash reserves swelled from $1.4 billion before the tax to $3.4 billion at the time that it was suspended. Look, there's a reason why I'm telling you this, guys. It's not just about Stryker. Now, this happens to be an easy case to point out, and if everybody cared to do investigative journalism as we're trying to do here at Young Turks and TYT Politics, you could go to their SEC filings and see what the reality of the matter is. But it is a bigger story than that. When they tell you, oh, I'm doing this for you, so it'll trickle down all over you guys. Or maybe it will, maybe it won't. Anyway, and I'm trying to protect your jobs. I just care about the middle class in America. No, they care about their own compensation. When they say they don't have any money because of the tax, it turns out they've got $2 billion more in cash, despite the tax. Not telling you the truth. And now, despite calling the tax a job killer, Lobo has grown strikers' payroll from $22,010 in employees in 2012 to more than $33,000 today. So what happened? I thought it was a jobs killer. It wasn't. They were never telling the truth about it. The reality is the only reason they argue against those is so that those executives can make more money. Young Turks membership creates independent media.
Believe me.
No ads.
Believe me.
All the shows.
Believe me.
On demand.
Believe me.
Support independent media.
Believe me.
It's awesome, tremendous. You'll love it.
Believe me.
And by the end, you'll be thinking,
I'm like a smart person.
TYTnetwork.com/join.